Hi, hello my sweet friends, Laura here. I thought I would make a video and just kind of explain a little bit about what it's like getting your diagnosis of breast cancer or any type of medical diagnosis. Bad news and what that looks like for your family, and the things that kind of go running through your mind. So if you've watched any of my other videos, I have shared that God has covered my husband and I with a supernatural peace. I'm not naive enough to know that it has to be from God. There's just no way to explain it other than God, because it's so beautiful and so amazing, and I'm so incredibly thankful for it. But this process is so hard. I'm still a real person, and I'm still living it in real time. And I think for me personally, I'm the type of person that I feel things for other people. So my most challenging things are worrying about the people who love me the most: my husband, my kids, my dad, my aunts and uncles, my sister, my closest friends, and all of you. I mean, let's be honest, that you guys, my community, y'all have followed me all the way through IVF and through all of these, man, my whole life, since 2016. We're getting ready to go into the year 2025. Since 2016, y'all have followed me on every journey that I've walked through, including my house getting shot, which is a video for another day that I'll be making soon. The miscarriages, like I said, the in vitro fertilization, just my faith journey. You guys have followed me through it all. Man, I don't know why, but I'm like a music person, and I just did y'all just hear Usher? If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. Okay. Man, it's so funny. Side note, music grieves me anymore. It's so funny. The sanctification process has just hit me so hard with that. I cannot even listen to that anymore without being like, ugh, cringe. But I still have moments where something will be said and this music line pops into my mind. So there's a little Usher for y'all this morning. But don't go listen to Usher. Go pull up some worship music and fill your mind with the things of God, the good things, instead of the rest of the world, because it'll just put you in a mood. I'm telling y'all, worship music, it just does something special for you. It just lifts you up. So waiting on results can be really challenging. I think the waiting for me is the worst part. I'm not a stick your head in the sand type of person. I'm a type A, organize, get her done, make a plan to make a plan. Tonight at 6:30, we're going to make a plan about the plan we need to make to go to the beach. That is my personality. This might be different for someone else, but if you're like me, I like to have all my duckies in a row, as I like to say, and I like to feel prepared. I feel safe. When I have information and when I feel organized, I feel safe. A lot of people can't understand that. I think they think that I want to be in control, or it's like a need to be in charge. It's not. I don't even have to be the one making the plan, as long as there is a plan. I'm more than welcome to sit back and totally relax. If we're going to a concert and you're the one driving me and you're making all the arrangements, I'm cool as long as you have a plan. I don't even need to know what it is, as long as I know there is one. It's I just feel safe. I don't know. I don't know why I'm that way, but that's how God made me. Maybe your personality might be different. But it's really difficult when you're sitting in these doctor's appointments and the unknown. And, so for me, getting diagnosed with breast cancer, I'm sitting in the doctor's office and, she's feeling my breast, and I could just tell by the look on her face, this is not good. And she grabs my hand and she's like, we're going to walk you through this. I don't want you panicking. And I'm just like, okay, this is not good, but I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to be, okay, let's just see where we're at. Get the mammogram, then the ultrasound. Again, I can tell by the look on their face when they look at the scan. The girls, they were so sweet. Their eyes were filled with tears. They weren't crying, but their eyes, you know how the girls do that when their eyes get wet. And they didn't even know me, but we had connected through that appointment, and God had used me to kind of minister to them and talk to them, and it was so cool. And so they were hurting for me because they looked at that scan, and they can't be sure without a biopsy. But they pretty much knew by looking at the scan that this was going to be breast cancer. So that was, that's hard to sit there. And then you go home and they're like, okay, we have to schedule a biopsy. So then you have to wait for the biopsy. Then you get the day of the biopsy. And it's, it's kind of nerve-wracking, especially if you're not familiar with the medical world. And then, again, you're being exposed. I talked about that in my other video. Your body, your breasts are out. And I'm like, do what you need to do. We're all medical professionals here. Do what you need to do. But for another person, it's very vulnerable and very... there's no privacy. There's no modesty. They try to keep you covered up, but it's like, There's just none. So it can be challenging and difficult. Like a lot of times I'm so thankful they have let Travis go back. He couldn't go back in the biopsy room, but he got to go back with me to like the little room where I get dressed and kind of hang out. So that made me feel safe and good. But of course you want your loved one there. I've been so blessed at Morgantown. Every single nurse, radiologist, staff member, tech, doctor, surgeon, oncologists have been amazing. Even the receptionists, I'm telling you, they like go above and beyond. And they're so loving and so wonderful. I cannot say enough things about Morgantown, West Virginia, y'all. I'm an hour and a half away from there, but y'all, they're amazing. They've just loved me and treated me like I'm their sister. Every single person, literally. And even the receptionists, they just go out of their way to make you feel comfortable and help you and explain things. And I'm so thankful for that, because it can be, if you're in a different hospital or you're in a different situation, like the hospital where I live, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't get that experience. I feel like I'm a number. I feel like I'm a burden. I feel like they don't want to deal with me, and they're kind of annoyed by me, to be honest, if I ask questions and things. So I'm just so incredibly grateful that God placed us in the facility that we're at to get my chemo treatments. And even though we're driving an hour and a half, there's a reason, people, that I'm driving an hour and a half. Also, my chemo meds are the strongest that they have, apparently, so they wanted me to be monitored very closely in their facility and their care, meaning they care about me. It's just so wonderful. But yeah, it can be hard, and you're sitting in these cold rooms. They're always cold, let's be real. And your breasts are out. Essentially, you have this little tiny gown on that opens in the front. I didn't even mean to wear this for that purpose, but it can be very vulnerable and very scary, and you may or may not have a loved one with you. For some of my appointments, Travis, at the beginning, like the mammogram, he wasn't able to go. He had to work. My man has a job, and he got to pay the bills around here. So I had to go by myself. My dad had to babysit, so he couldn't go with me. And, I'm sure if I would have asked one of my friends, maybe they would have went, but I didn't. I'm like, I'm fine. I can totally go. But it is intimidating. And especially with your personality, maybe you're someone who needs someone to go with you. I'm usually good, if I need to go by myself, I'm like, I'm good. But it can be overwhelming. And they're talking and they're giving you all this information, and they're used to saying it every single day. So to you, this is your first time hearing it. So you want to get a notebook. First of all, take it with you, write everything down, think out questions that you have before your appointment, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid that when questions come to you later to call and ask. They're providing a service to you. My facility is wonderful, but if your facility is not, don't be afraid. Like, you're paying them to help you, so you need to, if you have questions, you get those questions answered. When you're waiting on results, a lot of times we want to look things up online, which of course I did. And there's a lot of information, and you have to be careful, because like I have a ductal carcinoma. Well, there's a difference in ductal carcinoma and then the invasive, poorly differentiated ductal carcinoma. Mouthful. They're different. So when I was looking it up, I'm like, mine's not that bad. It's going to be easy peasy. Well, then I'm like, oh, well, actually, mine is actually not the kind I thought. I think there's 12 different kinds of breast cancer, I believe. So it's not all the same. I didn't even know that. I thought breast cancer was breast cancer and just different stages. Then the stages, how big is your mass, there's a couple determining factors that tell you what stage you are. So she said I'm at least a stage 2. And I'm like, what do you mean at least? Like, how do you not know? And she's like, well, it depends on your lymph nodes, and we haven't biopsied the lymph nodes yet. So I'm at least a stage 2. I could be a stage 3. And that sounds really scary when the highest number is 4. 4 basically means it's metastasized to your entire body, or somewhere else in your body, not your entire body, somewhere else in your body. It's moved to another place in your body, your liver, wherever. So very, very intimidating. So when you're pulling up these, you're waiting on the report, is intimidating and overwhelming, and it kind of consumes your mind. You're trying to, like for me, I was at Thanksgiving and I'm trying to focus on Thanksgiving, but in the back of my mind, do you think my results are up? And my husband was like, you've checked your phone 452 times. And I'm like, I just want to know as soon as possible. Like, I can handle it either way. I just need to know. Because, of course, they're going to put it on the portal first, and then you're going to go to call usually the next day, maybe later that day or the next day. So the quickest way to get it is on your portal. But then when you look on the portal, you don't know what it means. So then you're Googling and you're trying to figure out what exactly you're looking at. And depending on your personality, that could be a good or a bad thing. So you have to kind of know yourself and know if that's a good idea or not. And for some of us, it is not. We need to stay off the doctor Google is what I call it. So then you're hearing these, results, and then your mind is going 5 million different places. I think for me, I was already mentally prepared. God had kind of already given me and my husband both a knowing, and we've walked through cancer before, not for us, but for my grandmother. So it was like not as overwhelming, but I could imagine as someone who did not have medical knowledge, or someone who's never walked through that, or very emotional about this ordeal that's happening to you, because it is very scary and it is crazy, is that it's almost like they're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like a movie. Whoa, whoa. They're talking to you, and all you're hearing is, I have cancer. Am I going to die? Who's going to watch my kids? Who's going to homeschool? I did not have that personally. I had that experience at church one night at worship, and then God covered me in his peace. I put that in another video if you want to check that out. But for these appointments, I'm like, all right, tell me what I got to do. And let me ask questions and get answers to those questions. So it was a little bit different for me, but I could see how somebody sitting in this room, in this cold room with this very thin vest on, very thin hospital gown on, and then they're telling you probably the worst news you've ever heard in your life. It could be very devastating. So give yourself room and grace to feel that, and know that God gave you emotions. So if you cry, or you're having any type of emotion, he can handle it. He's got those broad shoulders, and he can hold that. He created the emotions, and he created you. So he knows you very well. He knows you, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, all of the things. So no need to hide it from him. But for me and Travis, being able to hand it all to him has been so beneficial and so wonderful for us. For us, it's more difficult for money, gas, mileage on the car, time off of work, babysitters. Like we have my dad, and he's retired, but we don't want to wear him out. We have Travis's mom and dad who are also retired. We don't want to wear them out. And then we have our friends James and Jen, and they're amazing. But again, we don't want to wear people out or trying to get schedules to match up. It's just one more thing to think about. Like, okay, I have cancer and I need to be thinking about myself, but then at the same time, I got to think about my babies and what's going on with them. You don't get to pick your appointments. That is something I have figured out. They call you and they say, you're coming at this day at this time. You don't get a choice. So for me, thank you, God, I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's worked out fine for me. Whatever I have, I can push and move. But for some people, they work, and it's not as easy, and it just would be another extra burden or stress on you, that you can't pick your appointment times. And sometimes, like for us, like yesterday, we had to be there at 8:30 in the morning. I live an hour and a half away, and I have my kids. So my dad blessed us, and he came to the house so the kids could sleep in. When they woke up, he took the kids to their house. But for some people, that's not an option, right? Or some people, your kids are in daycare, you don't have loved ones around you. So just little hurdles and things that make this more challenging, and just weigh on you in a sense. And we have been so very blessed in this season. It's almost like God set us up. He knew what would be on my heart and what would hurt me, and he kind of set me up for that. You're going to get several phone calls. And listen, I'm a talker. I think y'all know that by now. I love talking. I love talking on the phone. I'll be on the phone for hours, but it's exhausting, and they're giving you important information, and you keep your phone with you. Everywhere you go, your phone has to be on you, because they're calling you, and they're calling you all different people and all different times of day. And luckily for me, they've all coordinated, so they all know what each other is saying, which is wonderful, but it's overwhelming because you're exhausted. It's mentally exhausting just from the phone calls. And I don't have the emotional side. So now I'm trying to put myself in maybe someone else's shoes of, you just got this news, you're devastated, you are feeling very emotional, and then now all of a sudden you're being bombarded with appointments and phone calls. It's a lot. So you need to mentally prepare yourself for that. And again, having that notebook ready so you can write things down. Insurance companies, it's so annoying because my team is on the same page, my surgeon, my oncologist, my radiologist, my nurses, everybody. But then the insurance company is like, no. We got to wait. We got to approve this, and we're not going to approve it on your timeline. And it's so frustrating. Insurance for me has been the most pain in the booty part, and we're just getting started. So I'm trying to pray about that and just hand that to God, because I can't control it, and I just have to trust his timing, and that it will all work out the way that he wants it to work out, in the timing that he wants it to work out. But I, again, type A, I'm like, listen up, insurance company, like, I just want to come at you. Sorry, Lord. Just being honest, right? It's hard. I'm just being real. It's so difficult. Lastly, in this video, I want to talk about making arrangements, so again, I'm a planner. I did have life insurance on me, not very much. I talk about that in the video before this one. And that's such an uncomfortable conversation. I'm not a morbid person, but I do like to plan for the future, and I am going to die one day. The Bible says we can live to 120. Whether I die tomorrow or I live to 120, I'm going to die, and somebody's going to be responsible for taking care of those arrangements. So I like to have things in order. So I do have like a living will. We are actually updating it today. So we're going to go and update our will and just make sure, again, all those duckies are in a row and everything is taken care of. But that can be overwhelming, especially if you don't have it. So I would encourage you to go ahead and make your will. It can be very expensive. So before I did it online, I think it was like $70, which was a lot to us. This time I'm going to a lawyer's office, and just for the consultation, it's $500, and that doesn't count them drawing up the papers or doing anything else. It's another expense on top of what we're already handling. And it's difficult, for some people. It makes me feel safe. I must be a weirdo, but it makes me feel safe to know that my babies, if something happens to me and something happens to Travis, I know right where they're going, and I know they're going to be taken care of. And, our house and all the things. And, if there's something special that we want them to have, like, my wedding ring or whatever, it makes me feel safe and secure knowing I have that. But for other people, I remember my grandmother, she didn't want to talk about it. She was literally dying, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it. It just made her feel awful. And I think a big part of mine comes is I don't fear death. I'm already dead through Jesus Christ, made alive through his blood, and I'm just here to witness to y'all. I'm already dead. Dead and gone, dead and gone. Again, the song's T.I. Sorry. I'm already dead. Buried, made alive through Jesus Christ's blood. And I'm just here to witness to y'all. And that's why I'm here. That's my purpose here, is to collect more people and to bring more people to his kingdom. So I don't fear death, and that comes strictly from my relationship with him. I'm going to do a video on my testimony, and I did fear death. Back in 2020, death consumed me, the thought of death of myself or my children or my husband. I couldn't even function through my life. So I'll be sharing that with you, because I think a lot of people feel that way. But, we're making this... we're updating this will, and it brings me peace and comfort. But I could see how for someone else, if you just get this diagnosis, how rapidly these things are moving and these steps that you have to take, it can be really overwhelming. And I feel like you haven't even had time to process it. Does that make sense? And then you're making all these big life decisions, and the last thing you want to be doing is sitting at a computer or at a lawyer's office and writing up what's going to happen if you die. Again, we're going to die one day, whether we're 120, we're going to die. So we need to have these things done. This is important. And I think when we're in our 30s, we think we're good, we'll do it later. But trust me, you don't always have time. My mom died this past year, and it was very unexpected. And she did have all of her ducks in a row, and that made that process so much simpler on my dad and I when we were handling everything. I can't tell you how much simpler it made everything. So don't do it for yourself. Do it for the people who are going to be left behind to take care of you and take care of the arrangements. But it is hard emotionally, and your heart is hurting, and you don't want to think about that. And it's all coming at you hard and fast, and the enemy is trying to instill fear and make you question. And I think for me, I'm just so thankful for my relationship with Jesus, because it's the only thing that's grounded me. I mean, my husband is amazing. My family's been amazing. My support system's been amazing. Y'all have been amazing. Y'all have been amazing for several years, just walking through life with me. But it's coming at you hard and fast, and it can be really intimidating and overwhelming, and all the things. So again, I know this was quick, a long video, but yet saying it quick. If you have questions, message me. I'd love to talk to you about all of it. But just know, I just thought somebody might want to hear what it's like to sit in there and hear that. And lastly, real quick, it was really funny when he was going over the chemo medication. So I have 5 different medications I'm going to be taking, and he's like, this one causes liver disease, this one causes heart failure, this one causes this one causes this. And it's like, so literally, just listen up here, sir, it causes everything. My body could potentially have anything go wrong with it. Let's just say that, and we kind of laughed about it because it's overwhelming. But when you're sitting there and they're like, one, your hair is going to fall out. Okay, that for some people in itself is devastating, and you guys are going to follow me on that journey. I'm not sure, my ears, I don't know how it's going to look. We're going to find out. We're going to find out in a couple weeks. It's like he's telling you that your doctor, your oncologist is telling you the medications and how they're going to make you feel and what they're going to do to you, and the possible symptoms from it, right? And it's a lot, and you're trying to remember it. And they do print out handouts for you. They give you all the information so you can look it over, but it's a lot. And you're like, so basically my whole body is, the way the girl described it to me, who had the exact cancer as me, because some people have had it but they haven't had the triple negative. The way she described it to me is like, you're about to walk through the gates of hell. Like, that's how she described it. You're walking through the gates of hell when you go through this, but you're going to come out on the other side, and Jesus is going to take care of you. You're going to be just fine. And she's in remission now, praise the Lord. So she's doing good. I think she's been in remission for 2 years. I don't even know her. She's a total stranger, but she's been so amazing to me. Her name's Jennifer, and she's been so amazing to me. She answered all my questions. She, was my age. She was 30. I think she was a little younger than me, and she had the exact same kind of breast cancer as me. So some of those people are trying to help me, but they have a different kind, so the treatment is different. So it's been wonderful to have her, because she's been able to answer all of my questions. And when I'm speaking with her, she's just so loving and kind, and then also just information, just so forthcoming with information. She's not afraid to share the nitty gritty, if that makes sense.